Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoy your time here. So today we are just going to do a really low stress, relaxing type of video. This is going to be a purely real-time sketch with me type of video where all of this footage is left unedited. So everything that you're seeing on screen in this video is all just done in real time, and I'm just doing a sketch in my sketchbook. Nothing too fancy. I did start it with a little bit of a thumbnail type of thing, just because I feel like if I started filming and it was a completely blank piece of paper, I would just be spending way too much time trying to plan and figure out what I wanted to draw. So I kind of put in a little bit of a starter before that and then just filmed the rest of it, just building from that. So feel free to grab something to work on. Grab your sketchbook, maybe something else that you've been trying to get done, and we'll try to be productive for the next 20 minutes or so, or just kind of take the next 20 minutes to relax, kind of unload any burdens that you might have been carrying that's been kind of weighted on you for this day, or just things that are kind of eating away at your mind. Hopefully for this time that we have together, that you'll just be able to kind of step back, take a break, or kind of find this time to be productive in whatever you're choosing to do. And we're just going to have a good time. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be talking about for the next 20 minutes. I hardly script any of my videos, and when I do the voiceovers, I kind of just talk about whatever. And for those of you who've been following me for some time, you're probably already very used to that, that there's really not a lot of consistency in anything that I do on this channel. And I know that since my last video that I uploaded like forever ago, I have gained a few new subscribers. So hello, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay here on this channel, and I hope that you enjoy my content. I do want to put a disclaimer out there that I'm just gonna say, this channel is incredibly inconsistent, so don't have too high of expectations from me. I have a very inconsistent uploading schedule. I have a very inconsistent art style and art content, as well as the voiceover content, but if you kind of like the stuff that I put out, that's awesome. But if not, feel free to unsubscribe, because you deserve to go out and live your best life and enjoy the things that you want to be able to enjoy. So just wanted to put that out there, because this is my first video since putting out my sketchbook tour, and I feel like sketchbook tours can be really intimidating because you're kind of showing off all of your work, and they're really fun to watch. And I feel like a lot of times when people see sketchbook tours, they're just like, oh my gosh, like this art is so great, like I'm gonna follow this person and see more great art. And that might be the case for a lot of other artists, but for me, I'm incredibly inconsistent, and it's gonna be a while before my next sketchbook tour, so just wanted to let you guys know, don't expect much from me. But yeah, I guess for those of you who are relatively new to this channel or just checking out this video, I guess I could give a little bit of an introduction just so you guys know where I'm coming from. So I'm Sheenie. In real life, outside of YouTube, I am actually a resident physician. So I graduated medical school in 2020 and started my training as both an internal medicine doctor and pediatrician. So that eats up a lot of my time. I'm contracted to work up to 80 hours per week. So that's kind of the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs, at least here in the US, because I think a full-time job is considered like 35 to 40 hours, and so on average I'm working like 70 to close to 80 hours. So that kind of just puts things into perspective. I created this YouTube channel back in medical school. I feel like art has been something that's always been a huge part of my life, ever since I was really young, and ever since I knew how to hold a pencil. I mean, I think the earliest drawings that I can recall were when I was in 3-year-old preschool. So I know I've been drawing before that, but all of that is to say that I really enjoy art, and I wanted this to be a way to kind of share that passion for you guys so that you guys could kind of join me on an art journey, because I feel like a lot of times it's nice to be able to have a hobby that other people also enjoy and to just kind of be able to cheer each other on and all of that. So I kind of created this YouTube channel just out of that passion of wanting to make art, but also being able to put out content for a wider audience, especially in this day and age where the internet is just so vast and so influential. And it really gives you an incredible outlet to really interact with people that you otherwise may never get to interact with. I know I've met a ton of amazing artists and friends through the internet, here through YouTube, through social media platforms and all of that. So I just wanted to kind of contribute to that. So hopefully here on this channel that we're able to kind of foster that community where we're all here to kind of help each other out, support each other. And even if you're not an artist or don't even enjoy, drawing or anything like that, I just want this space to be a positive one. So that's kind of where we're at with this channel. Again, it's a very low stress kind of side job that I do when I have my free time and am in the mood for making content. So so I'm not very consistent with my videos, but just know that everything that I put out is something that stems from my love for art and just wanting to share that with you guys. So there's that. I guess I could talk a little bit about the video itself. So as you could see, for those of you who've seen my previous videos and all of that, I am still playing around with a camera setup. I'm not really happy with my current camera. I film from my cell phone, and when I first started residency, back in July of 2020, I actually got a new phone because my previous one was getting really old and I just felt that I needed a new one. So I got the Samsung Galaxy S20. I've previously had the Galaxy series phones and I've loved all of them. I think they're all really great. And so with the latest model, at the time it was the Galaxy S20, I was like, oh, it's going to be great because all of the previous ones I've had were really great and the camera's going to be really good. I heard a lot of good reviews. But unfortunately, the quality of the camera is just not that great for at least filming art or close-up non-people shots, if that makes sense. I feel like the camera is really great for taking photos of scenery or of group photos or of people, but I found that I've really struggled with trying to take photos of just my art or even filming. I've mentioned in previous videos that for some reason the camera has this weird color detection thing where colors that are just remotely fluorescent or not dull just end up looking incredibly bright and almost highlighter type of level of intensity. So as you saw earlier in this video, I had done a very basic rough sketch kind of skeleton drawing just to base my sketch off of, and I had used a magenta Col-Erase colored pencil, but when I put it under the camera I realized that it just looked so unnaturally bright and fluorescent, even though the color is truly not like that in real life. So I decided to just go over it with a blue Col-Erase colored pencil just because that's more gentler on the eyes and it picks up more accurately on the phone camera. So at the beginning it kind of looked like I was just tracing over the pink lines, and that's just because I knew that if I continued drawing with the pink or magenta color it just wasn't gonna look as good. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I initially was planning to draw my original character Sora, but then as I was kind of drawing the eyes and the eyebrows, I was like, oh wait, this doesn't look like Sora. This actually looks more like Ko, who's another of my original characters. So I kind of just rolled with that and decided to just draw Ko moving forward. And yeah, I think that's something that I've really learned in terms of art is a lot of times, it doesn't turn out the way that you plan it to be and you just kind of roll with it. Sometimes it feels like something is not salvageable anymore and you just have to, unfortunately scrap the idea, or you could try to just keep pushing and see if you could make something different. So that was kind of the case with this. Was I had a very different like thumbnail or image in mind, and once I started drawing after starting to film, I was just like, okay, this is not going in the direction that I was envisioning, but that's okay because we're still gonna have a good time. Again, this is a very low stress video. I wasn't planning to do any line art, no color or anything. Like, this is truly just gonna be like a sketch and chat where I just fill out pages of my sketchbook. And I know that I've mentioned before in previous videos that I wanted to do more like real time, like low stress, just doodling without wanting to put out fully finished pieces all of the time for this channel, just because I feel like with my really crazy busy work schedule, it definitely puts a lot less stress on me when I'm making new content, because there's less like post video editing or trying to film with multiple angles and getting the perfect shot and all of that. And so with this video, I was just kind of like, okay, we're just gonna go with sketching, and I'm just gonna talk, especially because it's been a long time since I last chatted with you guys, and I feel like there's a lot that I could potentially talk about. So there's that. And this is actually what I refer to as my poop sketchbook. So I actually have multiple sketchbooks that I've got going on at the same time, and I actually started this poop sketchbook maybe back in I think middle of 2019. It's a Strathmore mixed media sketchbook, and there are a lot of pages, but I went into this sketchbook with the intent that this is mostly just my doodling playground. The paper is really nice, but it's not top tier quality, and I wanted a sketchbook where I would not feel pressure to always put out really good art. So with this video, it was kind of like, hey, I'm just gonna draw in this poop sketchbook, and whatever I draw is what I'm gonna draw. Granted, this drawing actually came out much better than I anticipated, and it actually looks a lot better than some of the other drawings that I have in here, but I think the idea still holds that with this poop sketchbook, it's supposed to be kind of a space where I can just draw without feeling the need to make everything look perfect. It's kind of my go-to sketchbook when I'm in the mood to create art but don't want to put out a full-blown finished art piece. It's kind of like, hey, I just want to draw, and I'm just gonna draw something, and I don't care how it turns out. I just want to make art because I'm just in that kind of mood. So hopefully I was able to kind of convey that to you guys in this video, that with this being a real-time sketch and chat session, that I'm not really going for anything too fancy. I mean, I even kept the camera in this fixed position, even though there are a lot of angles where a bird's eye view is not necessarily the best one, especially if I'm drawing directly onto the page and all you see is my hand and not so much the drawing process itself. But I'm just rambling at this point. But all of that is to say that this was just a low stress kind of trying to get back into drawing type of video that I wanted to put out for you guys. I've been really busy with work, so just catching you guys up with where I've been. So July 1st is kind of our equivalent of the new academic year. It's when we get the new interns and the baby doctors that come in, and it's just a transition, from the previous year to the new year. And my first 4 weeks of July were really busy. I was with the inpatient adult hematology and oncology service. So basically, we take care of any patients coming in for medical needs and they just happen to have cancer, or they're coming in as a transfer from another hospital facility for a new diagnosis of cancer, and we kind of just help manage them from that standpoint and kind of get them medically optimized so that they could get discharged and kind of continue with their chemo regimen or have a plan moving forward in terms of their cancer treatment plan. It's been really great. It's been a really wonderful experience. I feel like cancer patients are some of the nicest people, and that's something that I hear everyone say. They're like, oh, the cancer patients are always so nice, to the extent where we're kind of like, I wonder if just being nice is, I don't know, like a predictor of getting cancer. Like, I know there's no correlation, but it just seems that, all of these patients, I don't know if it's just because getting a diagnosis of cancer really changes your perspective and your outlook on life, that you learn to kind of be appreciative of the time that you do have. I don't know what it is, but anyways, it was an overall really good experience for me, but it was really busy. We would work, 6 days a week from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and it was very taxing because, as you could imagine, cancer patients are some of the sickest people in the hospital. They are just people who've been in very unfortunate circumstances because cancer really sucks. But overall, it was a very fulfilling rotation. I really appreciated the experience, and I had a really good team. So there's that. Next, I rotated in the emergency department, and that was a very different experience. So the nice thing about being in the emergency department, or ED, is that it's all purely shift work. So you're just working 9-hour shifts, which sounds really great compared to the standard 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. shifts that we do on medicine, the 12-hour consistency every day. But I think the challenging thing about emergency medicine is that even though it's shift work, it's all very random shift works. So shift work, shifts. And it would be the first 2 days I had the 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift. And then after that, they put me on the 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift. And then I was back on the 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then I went over to 3 p.m. to midnight shift. And it's just not a lifestyle that I think is sustainable for me. Again, I think a lot of people like emergency medicine because it's shift work and you only work, I guess not so much how many shifts you work in a month, but compared to medicine, so in a 4-week period on medicine, you only get an average 4 days off. In emergency medicine, over a 4-week period, you get a total of 9 days off. So the lifestyle is really great in terms of having a much better work-life balance. But again, I just feel like it was a very stressful environment for me to be in, even though it's, just a standard 9-hour shift. When you leave work, you don't have to worry about the patients. And when you come in, they're all brand new patients. But I just couldn't get into that groove where you would see someone and then you quickly put in orders for them, barely have any time to document or dictate the note, and then you have to quickly go see the next person because the waiting room is almost always very busy. The emergency department, as you can imagine, is always very busy because people are just coming from everywhere. They could be coming from home, there could be a trauma, there could be an accident, they could be coming from their doctor's office, or a bunch of other situations. And it was hectic, but I also feel like I learned a lot, so it was really good. And these past 2 weeks, I've been back on HEMONC, but doing just consults, so the lifestyle's been really great, because as consults, you don't really have set patients that you have to go and round on every morning. It's more like, if there's a patient in the hospital, and they're admitted to another service, then if that primary team has a question about something about that patient's care that is outside of their expertise, then they would consult the specialty services. So with being on HEMONC consults, basically we would be consulted on anything either heme related or cancer related. A lot of times it was heme related, so anything to do with bleeding or clotting. A lot of the cases would be, hey, this patient came in and they were found to have a clot. What are your recommendations for anticoagulation or medications to kind of help stabilize that clot or prevent future clots from forming and all of that. But the service is definitely very attending and fellow driven. So as the resident, it's definitely less stressful, and it's seen as an elective service. So it's kind of like your freebie, like break kind of rotation from the craziness of inpatient stuff. So it was really nice because the hours were really chill, and every day I might see like 1 or 2 new consults, and then maybe 1 or 2 just patients that we're just following as they're in the hospital. So it was very low stress, and I think during my time with emergency medicine and also with this consult service, like I just had so much more free time, and I was just turning off all of this art. But at the same time, it was so hard for me to kind of find the motivation to put together footage for you guys, because technically with all that free time, I probably could have put out a new video every week if I really wanted to. But I think because I had been on HEMONC inpatient service for those 4 weeks in July, it was just so busy, and I did not get any chance to draw at all during those 4 weeks. So when I came off service, I just felt so rusty with my art, and I even felt like I had art block because everything that I was drawing was just not how I remembered my level of art like skill to be, which is totally understandable because when you don't draw for a long time, you kind of lose some of that and you kind of have to build it up again. But I was just very frustrated with where my art was going, and I was just drawing a lot just for myself. And it did take a few weeks of that before I felt like I was at a place where I would be comfortable filming and kind of getting back into this mindset of, okay, I'm just gonna put out art and I'm gonna be happy with it. And I feel like I was really happy with where I was with this video. Again, I feel like this sketch of KO actually turned out really well. I'm really happy with the way that everything looked, even though he was not who I initially planned to draw, but it all worked out in the end. But yeah, so there was that, and now I'm going to be gone for another 4 weeks. I am going back into the inpatient service, but I'll actually be in the ICU for the next 4 weeks, and it's a very challenging service because, you know, with ICU level of care, these are some of the sickest patients in the hospital, and it's called the intensive care unit for a reason, so the hours are crazy busy. Minimum, I'm working 12 hours a week. I think every few days per week I'm working 14-hour shifts, which is very daunting. I'm actually really nervous about it because if you think about it, it's like, oh, in a 24-hour period, I am working 12 to 14 of those hours, and I only have 12 to 10 hours to myself when I come home to eat, to shower, to sleep, to get ready for my next shift. So it just sounds very overwhelming, but hopefully I will survive and I will come out of it, having learned a lot. But I'm just going to put it out there that this is going to be, my next video for a really long time before I'm able to go back to putting out content. But thanks again, guys, for your patience, and I hope that you guys were able to get something out of this video, whether you are working on something productive or just being able to take some time for yourself to take a break from wherever you're at right now, to just kind of relax and de-stress. But yeah, so that kind of brings us to the end of our video. I hope that you guys are doing well. Continue to stay safe and continue to stay healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video.